Bro, I done over 50 stories on llin.TV, and some even included me doing crazy shit. But this shit right here, cuz, is the best shit I done ever put on my channel, my nigga. These stories here are beyond wild, and the ending is just vicious. If you a true fan of llin.TV, I challenge you. Tell me this ain't the craziest one. Drop a comment. Let me know. Because I guarantee you, there ain't nothing gonna top this. It might not get the views as the other ones, bro. But just believe me on this one. Just pay attention. Stay tuned. Stay with me. Stay with me. But today, we gonna be talking about Lil Evil, a.k.a. Ross, and Treacherous, or Tretch, a.k.a. Champion, from Raymond Ave Crips. The original Raymond Ave Crips are in the West Athens area, in borderline Gardena. But they didn't spread out to different cities like Inglewood, Altadena, Pasadena, and even in other states. That's why they call them the world famous Raymonds. I was locked up with a dude from Raymond's in the LA County Twin Towers. I forgot Cud's nickname, but he was solid and he was funny as fuck. He used to antagonize the Bloods in there and throw milk cartons at him and say shit like, "Rays, nigga." Shouts out to the Ravens, Zoe. Much love. And let me say this. These stories are from a bullshit, crooked-ass LA Police Department report. They need to free Lil Evil and Treach. The niggas is innocent, and I'm only putting it out there for the homies who want to enjoy the stories and the channel and just want to know. So free the innocent, man. And I'm not hurting their case because, you know, this is all alleged information from a report. You know what's happening, man. Here we go. On the morning of December 12th, 1980, damn, that was a minute ago, Mercy Hassan left her home at 849 West 126th Street, Los Angeles, to go to work. Residing with her were her husband, Bobby Hassan, an unemployed carpenter who sold marijuana and sometimes cocaine, and their 4 children. Mercy spoke to Bobby, her husband, on the telephone between 11 and 11:30 that morning. Bobby normally picked up their 14-year-old son, Eric, from school at noon and brought him home for lunch. Sometime around noon, Elizabeth Moncrief, a nurse working for an elderly woman across the street from the Hassan residence, saw Bobby and Eric return home. Half an hour later, she saw a large gold or cream-colored Cadillac containing 4 black males, ages about 19 to 25, parked in front of the Hassan home. Moncrief went outside and took a close look at the car. About 5 minutes later, she saw 2 of the men get out of the car and knock at the Hassan's door. There was a struggle at the door, and the 2 men entered. The other 2 men then got out of the car and entered the house, and someone closed the curtains in the Hassan residence. Later, Moncrief saw all 4 men leave the house. One was holding a pink pillowcase with something in it. The others were carrying paper bags containing unknown items. Moncrief, who saw the whole thing, was able to get a particularly good look at the last man who left the house, a tall man with big lips, a scar on his face, and either a chipped tooth or a gap between his teeth. She paid closer attention to this man because she had seen him once at Helen Keller Park, which is just across the street in this known Raymond Ave Crip territory. Mercy Hassan returned home about 3:30 p.m. The house had been ransacked. Part of the lunch she had prepared for Bobby and Eric was on the floor, along with wrapping paper from the children's Christmas presents. Several of the presents were missing, as were some colored pillowcases and a .357 caliber Ruger Security 6 revolver. Police called to the scene found the bodies of Bobby and Eric Hassan in the bedroom, lying on the bed. Both of them had been shot once in the head. Bobby's hands were tied behind his back, and 3 rings and a necklace he customarily wore were missing. One of the defendants for this case, Champion, was arrested on January 9th, 1981. When arrested, he was wearing a yellow metal ring with white stones and a gold chain necklace that had contained a charm bearing half a King of Hearts playing card. Mercy Hassan identified the ring and charm as belonging to her husband, Bobby. Fingerprints lifted from the Christmas present wrapping paper and from a white cardboard box matched the defendant Ross's fingerprints. So remember, Ross is Lil Evil, allegedly, and Champion is Treacherous. A month after the robbery, Moncrief selected the defendant Champion's picture from a photographic lineup, saying he could have been one of the men she had seen at the Hassan house. 3 days later, she positively identified Champion at a physical lineup at the Los Angeles County Jail. She also positively identified him at trial as the 4th man she saw leaving the Hassan home. In addition, she identified a photograph of a brown Buick automobile linked to the defendants as being the car she had seen in front of the Hassan home. Earlier at a wrecking yard to which the police had taken her, Moncrief recognized the Buick as the car in question because of a distinctive dent on its right front. Upon cross-examination, Moncrief acknowledged that at an early stage in the murder investigation, she had identified 2 other men, Benjamin Brown and Clarence Reed, as the men she saw visit the Hassan home. And she had identified their car, a Chrysler, as the one she had seen in front of the Hassan home. Reed and Brown had become suspects in the police investigation because, 1, they both were involved in an attempted robbery elsewhere in Los Angeles the day after the Hassan murders, during which Reed was killed. 2, Mercy Hassan identified Brown as a person who had been to her house to buy marijuana from her husband. And 3, Mercy Hassan told police that on several occasions she had answered the telephone calls from a person named Clarence who wanted to buy drugs. To show that Reed and Brown did not commit the murders, the prosecution called Brown, who testified that he had spent the day at home, and Reed's boss, who produced a time card on the back of a cigarette carton. Oh my goodness, that's a hot ghetto mess. Showing that Reed was at work in a grocery liquor store at the time of the murder. A ballistic expert testified that Bobby Hassan was killed by a .357 caliber bullet with rifling characteristics. The latter are produced by the gun that fired the bullet and were described by the expert as 6 lands and grooves with the left-hand twist. The expert also testified that most Colt revolvers produce these particular characteristics. The prosecution produced photographs found in the defendant Champion's home, showing each defendant holding a Colt revolver. So they showed a picture of Treacherous holding a Colt revolver in his house. They brought it to court. But Benjamin Brown, when arrested for the attempted robbery that resulted in the death of Clarence Reed, was found in possession of a gun that produced the same rifling characteristics. A jury found the defendants Champion and Ross guilty of burglarizing the Hassan home and of robbing and killing Bobby and Eric Hassan. So they found Lil Evil and Treacherous guilty. Now it's not done there. It's another one. They got hooked up for a string of shit. I'm telling you, I ain't got enough time to go through all of them, but check this out. The murder of Michael Taylor. During the evening of December 27, 1980, 3 men came to the door of Cora Taylor's apartment. Residing with Cora were her son Michael, who sold marijuana, and her daughter Mary. The men, one of whom Cora identified at trial as being the defendant Ross, aka Lil Evil, walked into the living room and asked to speak to Michael. When Michael and Mary came out of the next room, accompanied by William Birdsong, a friend who was visiting one of them, whom Cora and Mary later identified as Evan Mallet, grabbed Birdsong. A struggle happened, which ended when Mallet drew a gun and ordered Cora, Mary, Michael, and Birdsong to sit on the bed. Mallet then demanded money and drugs. When Mary said they did not have any, one of the three men hit her in the jaw with a fist. The men then ordered the Taylors and Birdsong to lay face down on the bed, opened Cora's purse, and ransacked the premises. While the three robbers were rummaging through the apartment, a fourth man, apparently a lookout, came to the door but did not enter. At Cora's urging, Michael told the robbers that there was money in a box in the kitchen. At that point, one of the men, whom Mary later identified as a defendant, Ross, aka Lil Evil, grabbed Mary by the hair and forced her to go into the bathroom, where he raped her. Wow. He then left the bathroom, returning moments later to rape Mary again. Thereafter, Mallet entered the bathroom and unsuccessfully tried to rape Mary. How do you unsuccessfully rape a bitch? Like, it's either it goes in or... Anyway, I don't condone that shit, but... The three men then ordered Birdsong and Cora to join Mary in the bathroom. A short time later, Cora and Mary heard a shot. After a few minutes, they left the bathroom and found Michael laying in the living room, dead. A prosecution expert testified that Michael had died from a single shot from a high-powered weapon, such as a .357 Magnum, fired at close range. The agent also testified that the gun used to kill Bobby Hassan could not have been the murder weapon, but that the bullet could have been fired by the .357 caliber Ruger stolen from the Hassan home. Missing from the Taylor's apartment was an 8-track tape player. Also missing was a Christmas present, a photo album, which had been taken out of its wrapping. Later that night, shortly after midnight, Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff Ted Namey saw a brown Buick automobile that contained 4 black males and did not have its headlights turned on in the neighborhood where Michael Taylor had been murdered. As the Buick pulled alongside of him, Deputy Namey and his partner ordered it to stop. Instead, the car sped away, and the deputies pursued the Buick. It went out of control, hit a curb, and came to a complete stop. The 4 occupants jumped out of the car and ran. Inside the car, the deputy found the 8-track tape player stolen from the Taylor apartment and the .357 caliber Ruger revolver stolen from the Hassan home. The gun contained 2 live rounds in an empty shell casing and smelled as if it had been recently fired. Under the car, Deputy Namey found the photograph album stolen from the Taylors. Police searched the neighborhood for the occupants of the Buick. They found Evan Mallet hiding in the backyard of a nearby house in which defendant Champion, aka Treacherous, was living. Natasha Wright, the Taylor's next-door neighbor, identified Ross, aka Lil Evil, at trial as one of the men she saw arrive at the Taylor's apartment. Prosecution experts testified that 2 fingerprints lifted from the bathtub in the Taylor's apartment belonged to Ross, and that spermatozoa found on Mary's pants were consistent with Ross's blood type, which is shared by roughly 11% of the population. So they took sperm cells and mashed it. They took sperm cells from the rape victim and mashed it with Lil Evil's blood type. And apparently he had a very rare blood type. The jury convicted Lil Evil of burglarizing the Taylor residence, of robbing Cora, Michael, and Mary Taylor, of raping Mary, and of murdering Michael. Although Cora Taylor identified Champion, aka Treacherous, as one of the robbers, and Mary Taylor testified that Treacherous was similar in appearance to one of the robbers, Treacherous was neither charged nor convicted of any of the crimes committed at the Taylor apartment. Apparently, no one had identified Treacherous as a participant in the robbery before trial. It sounds like Mary liked that dick. Can you release him? I'm fucking around, nigga. I don't condone rape, bro. That shit ain't funny. The prosecution also offered expert testimony that both defendants were members of the Raymond Ave Crips, a gang whose territory encompassed the houses where the murders occurred. That defendant Ross's nickname in the gang was Lil Evil, or Evil, and that defendant Champion's gang nickname was Treacherous, or Tretch, or Mr. Tretch. This testimony, in addition, the prosecution introduced a tape recording of a conversation between the defendants that took place in a bus transporting them from jail to court. Okay, so in the end, they were all sentenced to the death penalty. Both Lil Evil and Treacherous, man. So I'm gonna stop it right there, man, because the rest of the shit is pretty much irrelevant. Now, if you want me to, I could, there's so much, like I said, it's a string of these cases, so if you want me to read the others, man, I could read it. I could do a part 2. But yeah, man, that's crazy, man. Hey, I don't condone rap with an E at the end, man. That's, that's something I don't do as a man. I don't indulge in that, and I don't approve of that. I don't condone it, and it's not a funny topic, bro, because if that was my mother or sister or daughter or grandmother or auntie, I'll be ready to smack something behind that. So, yeah, this is a crazy topic. This is one of the craziest stories, man. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm out of here. Holla at me in the comments, man. Wiggins!